So Alberta just secured a massive energy deal with Ottawa, pipelines, carbon pricing, the whole shebang, and you'd think the United Conservative Party would be throwing a parade, right? Champagne corks popping, high fives all around, maybe a ceremonial cowboy hat toss? Wrong. Dead wrong. Instead, they got booed. At their own convention. By their own members. Meanwhile, the separatist crowd? Standing ovations. Thunderous applause. Board elections going their way. And Premier Danielle Smith is standing there like, guys, we're not a separatist party, I swear. Sure, Danielle. And I'm not addicted to Tim Hortons. Welcome back to Canadian Insights, where today we're diving into the beautiful chaos that is Alberta politics, where even winning feels like losing, and nobody can agree on whether they want to stay married to Canada or file for divorce. Alright, let's set the stage here because this story has layers, like a political onion that makes you cry no matter how you slice it. Last week, Alberta and the federal government announced what they're calling a historic energy deal. Now, when politicians use the word historic, it usually means one of two things. Either something genuinely groundbreaking just happened, or they're desperately trying to spin a compromise that nobody actually likes. In this case, it's looking more like option 2. Here's the deal in plain English. Ottawa agreed to walk back some of their emission policies, the kind that have been making Alberta's oil and gas sector sweat bullets, to clear the path for a potential pipeline to the west coast. So Alberta can actually get their oil to market without having to duct tape it to a train and pray. In return, Alberta signed up for a higher industrial carbon pricing scheme. Basically, Ottawa gave a little, Alberta gave a little, and they shook hands like two people who really don't want to be at the same family dinner but are trying to be civil for grandma's sake. Now, you'd think this would be cause for celebration in the UCP. After all, they've been screaming about pipelines and federal overreach for years. Getting Ottawa to budge even an inch is like getting a cat to take a bath, rare, difficult, and mildly miraculous. But when this deal was presented at the UCP's annual convention over the weekend, the room didn't exactly erupt in cheers. Instead, it was met with skepticism. And boos. Multiple boos. The kind of boos you'd expect if someone suggested replacing beef with tofu at the Calgary Stampede. Meanwhile, and this is where it gets spicy, the separatist wing of the party was having the time of their lives. Leaders advocating for Alberta independence got standing ovations. Raucous applause. The kind of energy you'd expect at a concert, not a political convention. And it didn't stop there. A bunch of pro-separation candidates got elected to party board positions, effectively giving the Wexit crowd more seats at the table. So now Danielle Smith is stuck playing political whack-a-mole, trying to keep her party from splitting in half while insisting they're totally, definitely, absolutely not a separatist party. Let's talk about Danielle Smith for a second, because her position right now is basically political quicksand. She's trying to hold together a coalition that includes everything from moderate conservatives who just want lower taxes and fewer regulations, all the way to hardcore separatists who think Alberta would be better off as its own country, or maybe joining the United States, depending on which Facebook group you ask. Smith herself has acknowledged this tension, saying most of the party board still aligns with her belief that Alberta can thrive within Confederation. But, and this is a big but, she admitted there are some who aren't persuaded yet. There's no question, she said. I mean, you saw the reaction on the weekend as well. Translation? Help. My party is having an identity crisis, and I'm just trying to keep everyone from setting the tent on fire. Smith is essentially admitting that while she's steering the ship, a significant chunk of her crew is trying to drill holes in the hull because they'd rather just swim for it. It's like being a parent at a birthday party where half the kids want to play pin the tail on the donkey, and the other half want to burn the donkey and declare independence from birthday parties altogether. Here's the thing, Smith knows this energy deal alone isn't going to satisfy the separatist crowd. She's been pretty upfront about that. Energy policy is just one grievance on a very, very long list that Alberta has with Ottawa. We're talking equalization payments, gun control laws, environmental regulations, Quebec getting special treatment, the hits keep coming. For many Albertans, especially those in the separatist camp, it's not about one deal or one pipeline. It's about feeling like the rest of Canada treats them like the family ATM, useful when you need cash, ignored the rest of the time. And honestly, that frustration isn't coming from nowhere. Alberta has been bankrolling Confederation for decades through equalization payments, sending billions to Ottawa that get redistributed to other provinces. Meanwhile, their oil and gas sector, the economic engine of the province, has been under constant attack from federal environmental policies. It's like being the only person in your friend group who always pays for dinner, and then everyone complains about your food choices. Eventually, you start asking yourself, why am I even here? So where does this leave the separatist movement within the UCP? Stronger than ever, apparently. The fact that pro-separation candidates are getting elected to board positions is a massive signal. These aren't fringe weirdos shouting into the void anymore. They're organized, they're motivated, and they're gaining institutional power within the party. That's a problem for Smith, because even if she personally believes in staying within Canada, she can't ignore a growing faction of her own party that's ready to pack up and leave. And let's be real, the separatist sentiment in Alberta isn't just about policy wonkery or economic theory. It's emotional. It's cultural. It's rooted in a deep sense of alienation and frustration that's been building for years. When you combine economic anxiety with political resentment, you get a powder keg. And right now, Danielle Smith is standing next to it with a fire extinguisher, hoping nobody lights a match. Wrap it up with impact. So what does all this mean for Alberta and for Canada? Well, it means we're in for a wild ride. Smith is trying to thread an impossible needle, keeping her party united while negotiating with a federal government that half her members don't even want to be part of. The energy deal with Ottawa might buy her some time, but it's not a solution. It's a band-aid on a bullet wound. The separatist wing of the UCP isn't going away, and every time Ottawa makes a move that Albertans don't like, that movement gets stronger. Canada's relationship with Alberta is complicated, messy, and increasingly strained. And whether you think Alberta should stay or go, one thing is crystal clear. The status quo isn't working. Something's gotta give. Strong call to action. Alright, that's it for today's deep dive into the beautiful disaster that is Alberta politics. If you made it this far, you're officially more informed than most of Parliament. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the chaos, subscribe to Canadian Insights because we're dropping multiple videos a day keeping you locked in on all the wildness happening across this country, and drop a comment below. Do you think Alberta's separatist movement is growing into something real? Or is this just political theater? I want to hear your take. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.